Meet Airman Snuffy. AMN is short for Airman, and Snuffy is the name the Air Force gives to its most average, everyday troop. Snuffy isn't a hero. Snuffy is you if you were to sign up tomorrow. Fresh out of high school, Snuffy just made a decision most people never see through to the end. He's going to try to serve a full 20 years and actually retire. But why is retirement the holy grail for military members? Simply put, money for life. Put in your 20 years and the checks keep coming long after you hang up the uniform. The catch? Most who join never make it that far. This is part one of how it all starts, getting in. And spoiler, it's weirder than the commercials. Snuffy's first stop? The recruiter's office. In the parking lot of an outdated strip mall sits 6 doors, the Air Force, Space Force, Army, Marines, Navy, and the red-headed stepchild, the Coast Guard. Just kidding, guys, we love you. Snuffy always heard that the Air Force has the best quality of life, so he makes a beeline straight to the Air Force door. Inside waits a sharply dressed sergeant in crisp dress blues, ribbons stacked across his chest. Snuffy can't help but wonder, will he ever look that sharp? Will he earn a ribbon rack that fat? The sergeant smiles, waves him in, suspiciously happy to see him. First up, a test called the ASVAB, a giant exam that decides which job Snuffy is even allowed to do. He sweats through the questions about gears, word definitions, and electronics he's never touched. Score high, and a lot of doors open. Score low, and the Air Force gently steers you somewhere less exciting. Then comes the contract, the part nobody reads closely. Snuffy is signing up for 4 to 6 years of active duty, but the total commitment is 8 years, hiding in the fine print like a gym membership you forgot to cancel. He's ready to commit, but nothing's official yet. First, he has to survive one more day. MEPS. MEPS, the Military Entrance Processing Station. Think of it as a full day of the government making absolutely sure you're alive, healthy, and yours to keep. Snuffy gets poked, prodded, weighed, and measured. He's asked about every injury, illness, and broken bone he's had since birth. He pees in a cup. He reads an eye chart. And then comes the main event. Stripping down to his undies in a room full of equally nervous strangers to perform the legendary duck walk. Squatting and waddling across the floor so a doctor can confirm, yep, his joints actually work. Dignity, optional. Service, mandatory. Snuffy passes every check. Then, standing before a flag and a line of fellow recruits, he raises his right hand and swears an oath to support and defend the Constitution. And just like that, Snuffy belongs to Uncle Sam. Next stop, the place every recruit both dreads and brags about for the rest of their life. Basic training. Snuffy boards a plane to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, home of the Air Force Basic Military Training. It lasts about 7.5 weeks, or 8.5. The Air Force keeps changing the number, probably just to keep everyone guessing. It begins at the airport where Snuffy is greeted by a warm, supportive mentor who genuinely welcomes him to his new family. Just kidding. He is met by a military training instructor, an MTI, a human megaphone in a campaign hat whose entire job it is to remind Snuffy that he is no longer special. Snuffy steps off the bus, the yelling begins, and it doesn't stop for the next few weeks. What follows is a blur. Snuffy learns how to make his bed so tight you could bounce a quarter off of it. He folds his t-shirts into identical little squares and lines them up with a ruler. Yes, an actual ruler. He learns to march in step, to salute, to shine his boots, to address every problem with a yes sir or no sir. He discovers the military's favorite hobby. Hurry up and wait. Sprinting across the base to a spot only to stand there for an hour doing nothing. He also learns the hardest lesson fast. There is no I anymore. When one person messes up, everyone pays. Snuffy does a lot of push-ups for mistakes that weren't even his. The days start before the sun. Running, push-ups, sit-ups, obstacle courses, classroom lessons on Air Force history and rules. It's exhausting physically, but the real challenge is mental. And that's the whole point. Basic isn't designed to break Snuffy, it's designed to rebuild him, to take a kid who did whatever he wanted and turn him into something that stays calm under pressure, follows orders, and works as part of a team when everything around him is chaos. Somewhere around week 5 it happens. Snuffy stops flinching at the yelling. He moves with his flight like they're one unit. He stands a little taller. The civilian is gone. He graduates. He gets his airman coin pressed into his palm, marches in the airman's run, and for one perfect moment, in front of family and that same flag, Snuffy feels absolutely unstoppable. Snuffy is riding high until reality slaps him in the face. He's a real airman now, but he still doesn't actually know how to do anything yet. That is what tech school is for. Here's the plot twist no one warns you about. Snuffy didn't fully pick his job. The Air Force assigns him an AFSC, an Air Force Specialty Code, which is just a fancy way of saying the job we've decided you're doing. It's based on his ASVAB score, his physical, and most importantly, whatever the Air Force happens to need that month. Maybe Snuffy dreamed of fixing fighter jets. Maybe he lands it. Or maybe he finds out he's now a cook, a cop, a cargo loader, or the guy who fixes the radios. Sometimes you choose your path, sometimes your path chooses you. So Snuffy packs up and ships to tech school. And how long he's there depends entirely on the job. Some careers take about a month. Others take a full year of training. He swaps the nonstop yelling of basic for actual classrooms, hands-on labs, and a little bit more freedom, as long as he doesn't screw up. And here's the part that pays off for the rest of his life. Snuffy isn't just learning to wear a uniform. He's learning a real marketable skill, the kind that builds an actual career, whether he stays in for 20 or takes it to the civilian world later. That jet he learned to fix, that's a paycheck for life, in or out. Finally, training is complete. Snuffy gets his orders, his first real assignment at his first real base. He's trained, he's employed, he's officially in. And that's it. Snuffy made it in. He survived the suspiciously happy recruiter, the duck walk at MEPS, 7-ish weeks of a screaming MTI, and a job he may or may not have actually wanted. He's trained, employed, officially an airman. So the hard part's over, right?
Nope.
Not even close. Because now Snuffy has to actually live this life. How much does he really get paid? Where does he sleep? Does he get any freedom at all? Or does the Air Force own his weekends too? And remember that best quality of life promise that lured him into the Air Force? Time to find out if that's true. And that is all next in part 2, Life in the Air Force. Snuffy will see you there.